Hey everybody, welcome to the Growing with Fishes podcast, episode 206. Tonight, Marty and I are kind of doing a little bit of a shorter session. Both of us have had kind of a long grow work week, so I figured we'd hop on. I apologize for not doing a show Tuesday. It's just been so hot that I kind of just blacked out on Tuesday after work, so I apologize, guys. So, what's up with you, Marty? How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. Just last of the first harvest is drying up and pulling it down, bagging it up. So yeah, that's always fun. Getting rolling up some fatties, and yeah, other than that, just like dealing with work stuff. Got 3-day weekend coming up, so got some system work we're gonna do. Going to modify the beds like I talked about before. I've got one of them already done that way, and I'm going to do the other 3 the same way. We're just going to lay down the PVC pipe from the bottom of the bed and set the pots down on top of that, so that I'll have drainage from one end to the other, mostly unimpeded. And then I'm also going to redo how my drains work, because the bulkhead fitting I have sticks up out of the top a little bit, and I want to cut out the plywood on the bottom and let that sink all the way down underneath, so that the water level will empty out a little bit farther before the siphon breaks. So yeah, just little stuff like that. Then that's going to get a little lower. I don't think there's anything else. I don't think so. I think everything else is done and ready to go. Then I just have to go through. I've got quite a few clones and plants set up now, so just kind of pick what I'm going to throw into the next run. Most everything has plants that are ready to go. So yeah, fun time. How about you, man? What's up over there in Oklahoma?
It's been all kinds of crazy. I'll get into that in a minute. Is there any, what else has been going on in your grow? Did you cut those plants down yet, or are they about to come down? Or I know you were getting close.
Yeah, everything's down now. The last of it is coming off the drying rack now. There's still just the last harvest. So both of these strains were new strains to me. I hadn't grown them before, so whenever I grow new strains, I usually harvest in pieces. So I'll take them about over a week, sometimes a week and a half, and dry up different samples and kind of see where I like it, and take it all the way to product and smoke it and see how I like that. And then that way, the idea is that I'll know about where I like it the next time I grow it, and I can harvest everything kind of at that perfect level. So yeah, I've got different samples, but yeah, not too much else going on besides that. I think we have like I said, we got to pick strains for the next run. So there's Sunset Sherbert, Wi-Fi. Well, I don't have too many Wi-Fis yet. I don't think I have enough to do maybe a full bed. So there's Snowman, tons of Thorsberry, more Pineapple by Banana by Peach Frost. So those are the ones that I grew this round. I'll probably grow a couple of those again just to kind of keep a baseline around, and then grow probably, I'm thinking Snowman and Sunset Sherbert. I don't know though. Just going to kind of go evaluate the plants that I have and pick the healthiest ones that are about the right size, and kind of get a balanced run. So now that my first run was kind of more like nutrient testing. So I had different soil mixes, and now I take the best one of those and vary that one slightly. And now I'll be more strain hunting, seeing which strains I want to run in there, and dial it in from there. Just grow stuff I like. It's nice when you don't have to worry about anything else besides that. So on home grow, it's a lot more fun, I guess, because you don't have to have any of those other concerns. You can kind of just grow whatever plants you feel like smoking. And, so for me, I like a variety. I like to have 4 or 5 different kinds at a time. And I don't know. I know some people have specific strains that they like, but I crave different stuff at different times. So like sometimes I like in this case, I like Thor's berry, kind of more in the evening, and the pineapple I like a little more in the afternoons during the day, or if I still have stuff to do. So yeah, and it's gonna be fun to just put some of this in the shelf and grow something else and come back to it later. For me, that's kind of the fun parts of it, maybe not necessarily as profitable or commercial, but that's the fun stuff that I like. Experimenting.
Awesome. Yeah, we've been doing all kinds of things. So we've been actively getting the field prepped with the rain and different setbacks and COVID shipping delays and all kinds of things. I think we're getting ready to finally set our fields next week and get everything in the ground. Fingers crossed, but that could change depending on the weather here. So again, we're a bit behind, but we've got everything going. We did another sweep for rocks after doing another round of tilling and disking. So we got that going. So that's been a bunch of walking around with the dogs looking for rocks. So that's been fun. And then as far as other stuff, our breeding room, we have some Sunset Mac males. We've been crossing with a couple of different females that we really like. We have a cheese, which is going to be straight fire. We have some really nice fat mature seeds off of that. And then we have Alaskan Purple cross. We did a Grape Durban cross, a Durban Poison cross, a couple of other crosses. So that'll be cool to see. Do a little pheno hunting with those next and see what we come up with. So that'll be a fun little side project. We got our clone room. We've been kind of upgrading that, upgrading the AC units, upgrading the HVAC, just getting the air movement going in there, improving that to get the temperatures down there a little bit, especially with us hitting, it was 108, or I'm sorry, 107, almost 108 outside the door of our mother room today in the shade. So it was quite warm here. So we've had to do some upgrading to our climate control this week to keep everything where we want it to be. Also reconfiguring some of the lights to make sure we can try and pull 1 or 2 lights out of some of the rooms where we can do that. Yeah, just kind of trying to maximize that. Cutting clones, trying to keep everything down. Man, I'll tell you what, the aquaponic plants love this heat, especially having an unlimited water supply. Well, my puppy is busy trashing the room.
Yeah, man, if you get them cold water.
Yeah. So with full water, I mean, they're going 3 inches a day pretty consistently now. I went through and hacked the plants a good 2 feet down last week, and it doesn't look like I did absolutely anything in there. I'll do a video again this week and give you guys kind of an update. We've had a huge mushroom explosion with the heat and the humidity and everything in there, just and all the awesome microbial inoculations we've been doing with our IMO. We just have literally just mushrooms in probably 10% of all the pots that we have in the entire TWC of our greenhouse. It's really cool. Anyone that's looked at the Instagram lately has seen quite a few different cool mushroom pictures from our greenhouse that I've been posting. So that's been really awesome. Other than that, we have a whole bunch of plants that we've been germinating and growing out that are finally getting big enough to start taking some clones. So we can do some sexing and some determination on, growing a couple of nugs and seeing what, a couple of clone nugs and seeing, hey, what's worth keeping, what isn't. So doing some pheno hunting. on that with some Mr. Green Genes genetics, as well as some of my own stuff. We have some G13 hash plant from Dragonfly Earth Medicine. We have all kinds of cool stuff. So
that's one thing that I was just thinking about is on my list of stuff to do in grows is set up that Mars Hydro grow off. Did you still have your Mars Hydro light, or did you get one?
Oh yeah, I haven't contacted. I gotta talk to them. There's like 3 companies in my inbox right now that all want to do lights. So I was thinking, hey, maybe I can get them all to. I'll set up some tents. We'll do side by side tents in the exact same shed, and do 4x2 or 4x4, whatever size tent we're gonna do. Probably 4x4 or 4x8 tents, and set those up, put the lights in, and then let it rip. And see how that goes. So that'll be cool. But yeah, I'm super down to do that. We also have some Next lights. We have some Gavitas. We have some other stuff laying around. So we could throw those up for the side by side just to see who's better. Alrighty. What else are we doing here right now? Just getting the outdoor stuff going. Just doing a lot of IMO collection. Trying to get that going. Make sure we have all of our inputs. Making sure we get all of our nutrients we're going to need to feed the back. And then, yeah, I'm also just trying to deal with this heat. It's so brutal more than anything else.
Yeah, it's gotten pretty warm here too. Like even just running my lights overnight, it still gets up pretty high. And really that's what drives the temperature up on the, even in the space around the light. Like I've grown plenty of plants that close to those ceramic metal halide lights before, but I was able to keep the ambient temperature in the room much lower. So when the room overall got hotter and drove up the temperature in the room, then around the light it also got hotter, drove up the surface temperature of the plants, and that's how I got all that foxtailing before I got it corrected. So just it can be quite the challenge to deal with heat, and especially when you're just getting set up. There's tweaks that'll have to be made generally. So plan the best you can, and then do the best you can, right?
Awesome. I was just looking around here at. I was going to pull up some of the questions we had.
I know one question that I guess it wasn't really a question, but what is your I guess your preferred harvesting method? Like, do you guys cut down an entire plant at a time? Do you cut a branch down at a time? How do you deal with that? So like for me here, I cut down basically the biggest branch I can get out of the net without fucking up too much shit. Ideally, I'd cut down the entire plant at once and just hang it up, which I might figure out a way to do next time, but we'll talk about that next time. But basically the biggest pieces of plants that I can, and I even leave most of the leaves on and hang them up to dry. And I feel like it gives it a longer, slower dry that ends up better overall. And then I chop off all the shade leaves and pull everything off the main stems. Once the stem itself snaps and instead of bends, that's when I buck it off, and then I leave everything on it until I smoke it. I mean, that's the way that. Just because I don't have to sell it or do anything here, but I was curious what your guys' process is in the commercial grow.
Sure. So we'll just take down pretty much the plant, especially at the size that we're growing. They're not really large enough, with a couple of exceptions, at least for the indoor, to really warrant piecing down. If there's like colas that are well ahead of the others, whatever, that's fine. We'll chop those down if we're chopping other stuff in the room. But generally, you're trying to keep like with like. So we'll decide, what date that strain's going to come down. based on looking at trichomes. We can figure out roughly what week, and then we'll figure out what day based on the trichomes. And then that day we're just going to chop it and dry it, immediately hang it or chop it and freeze it, depending on what it's destined for. But yeah, we're not really piecing that out. On outdoor, we'll kind of see how that goes. I'm kind of thinking it's going to be in a similar vein though, where we're just going to take it down by strain more than anything else. It's worked really well for me in the past, and generally just they're all going to finish up. All that same strain is going to finish up pretty much on the same day anyway. So,
And then you guys dry pretty much whole.
you're better off harvesting on that kind of stag. Oh, I remember what the other one was. So what was that? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying. So after you harvest, you harvest. Sounds like the biggest piece of the plant that you can, and probably the whole plant in this case.
Yeah.
And then do you take off shade leaves before you dry it, or do you hang it up as is and then pull those off when you?
So we'll come through and maybe 5 to 7 days before the harvest, we'll go through and take all the fan leaves off.
Cool.
And then we'll big leaf them, and we'll come back, and when it's just nugs, then we'll go through and come back and chop it. So they're pretty much just nugs by the time we're in there anyway. There's not a lot of bucking or big leafing. Oh, maybe a little bit when they're coming down, but not a whole lot. Mainly they're just getting chopped and passed down the line to go to the chain gang to get hung up on or tied up on the racks or hangers so that they can be hung up. So it just depends on again what they're destined for. I had go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, if it's just gonna get blasted anyway, probably doesn't matter much at all. But if you're looking at trimmed flower, you probably, what I would say the topic of discussion is most of the time. If I'm gonna have something extracted, I don't usually do much of anything to it in terms of trimming it. But yeah, so and then I'll take off, most of the big stuff, but I'll leave it mostly untrimmed in the jar. And like if I'm just using it for personal smoke, then it'll just stay there and like that. And so, do you cure trimmed or untrimmed?
Oh no, we'll leave most of the leaves on and then cure, or we'll dry it and then we'll go back and trim it and then jar it up for curing, and then we'll do. They have kind of a neat or interesting idea on that. So at least here they're doing 5-gallon buckets with like an air pump that kind of is on a timer that kind of flushes the air in the buckets periodically. It's kind of interesting. So twice a day it flushes the air in the buckets. This way you can leave them all sealed up and pre-filter the air and then vent them all out at the same time. It's kind of cool.
That's cool. So it's like an auto burp, right? The same concept.
Yeah.
Air exchange.
Yeah, I would definitely want to make sure that you're not running it too long, but yeah, it's a great idea.
That sounds pretty good.
I had somebody hit me up this week and had an aquaponic grow and had russets, so they were asking me for advice, and I thought, I don't know if we really covered directly russet advice on the show. So if you're running into russets and aquaponics, first off, like, you got clones from someplace dirty, right? So that sucks. So definitely figure that part out. But if you do have russets, there's a few things you can do. Now, first off, they can be one of the hardest things to get rid of if you don't have a good plan of action. But thanks to Dragonfly Earth Medicine, we've learned quite a bit. So you can actually cook them off. So you can run your greenhouse at about 120 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 hour after, before before you do that, you want to make sure you water everything nice and well. But as long as everything is watered, and, you know, the plants might wilt and pout a bit, but they will survive it. And you know, sealing up your greenhouse, turning the vents off and everything, and just letting it heat up for 1 hour at 120 degrees, trying to keep it, you know, not much above that, is really a good way to eliminate that. Also a great way to help, as Breeder Steve had talked about in the past, for powdery mildew control as well, especially in the tropics or hotter climates. You know, Texas, Oklahoma, those types of places can be a great way to knock back those. Other than that, you know, you can always Soft-Oil X dip your clones to make sure that they're clean. But beyond that, you know, as far as aquaponics goes, there really isn't a whole lot of other options. You know, you can go with some of the predatory mites, but, you know, I'll just be honest with you, the predatory mites will not cure russets. They're simply too small and too numerous. You're not going to get rid of them that way. And anyone that tells you otherwise just doesn't know what they're talking about. Marty, did you have anything you wanted to add to that? I would imagine maybe a liquid, you know, I haven't tested the grasshopper IMO or the pest management IMO on them, on russets in particular, but I would imagine that probably would have a pretty good beneficial effect if you're looking for a spray, but I haven't particularly tried that on russets, but it would be something that you could at least attempt to try. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I mean, no, I mean, they're really tough, I guess, is probably the main thing. Like, none of it's going to be easy, or, you know, there's not going to be like a one treatment thing. Like, even heating up your house, you're going to have to do multiple times over a couple of days, I would say, minimum. So I think that that's going to be, if you have that kind of environmental control, that's great, because then you can use it to your advantage. If you don't, they do have some predators, but they're going to mostly be like a knockback kind of effect as opposed to treating an infestation, just because while they do have predators, they don't have predators that reproduce at rates that they do. It's just really tough to get on top of them with beneficials, unless you want to spend a lot of money releasing them. So especially when you get up to scale, it can be really tough. So there's always a strong argument for just physically removing any infected plants and growing something else. I mean, I know that sounds pessimistic and everything else, but sometimes it's the most effective way to get rid of it. Now,
yeah, sometimes that really is the only answer, is burn everything and start over. And it sucks, yeah. You know, sometimes it's too far gone by the time the person that's trying to help you finds it.
So if you've got some genetics that you're like, I just got to save them, you know, like we were talking last week a little bit about, you know, Mr. Green Jeans has a cut of Jack that's been around since like, you know, 1980 something. And I would imagine even if that plant got russets, he would want to do everything he could to save it. So in that scenario, you can use a couple of different methods to kind of keep just areas of plants clean and grow them out enough to be able to clone and dip and put it in an isolated environment. And so that would be my recommendation, is to set up a little grow box or someplace where you can completely isolate them in a different place than the plant that you cut them off of. Spend some time treating that plant that you're about to clone, dipping the spots that you're going to clone, once to twice a day, just to try to keep any new growth from keeping and being infested. I'll trim off like all the leaves below it of the node that I'm going to cut, try to isolate it. You can, wrap yellow sticky wraps around the stem to keep them from crawling up. There's a lot of methods that you can do to try to minimize it. But what you're really trying to do is keep that area that you're going to clone as clean as possible. And then even after you clone it, dipping and soaking the whole thing, you can even submerge plants for, I'll do it for up to a couple of minutes on something that I really want to make sure is treated, and then rinse it off. You can do higher concentration sprays for a short amount of time and then rinse those off as well. So I do that with like Dr. Symes or Big Time Enzyme or Nukem, are all about that. You know, they're all variations of enzyme-based sprays combined with citric acid. And so you can run those pretty hot as long as you rinse them with water afterwards to get that kill effect. So then once you have those in an isolated environment, you're kind of stuck with monitoring them daily to make sure that nothing infected got into your isolated environment and pull those out. And you kind of have to repeat that process, sometimes multiple times, to be able to get to a clean spot. So you could be talking up to, 4 or 5 months sometimes to be able to get completely clean new moms off of an infested plant with russets. So I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just saying be prepared for what you're getting into, and make sure that it's worth whatever you're saving is worth not just popping another bean or growing something else, because it can be quite a fight for sure.
Hey, Roger, how's it going?
Howdy.
All right, sorry, I had to find the mute button real quick. Doing great. How's everybody else doing?
Feel good.
Wrestling a puppy, trying to keep him out of trouble. He likes to find trouble.
Draco,
So tell us what's new with you over at True Aquaponics. You've been up to all kinds of stuff.
Oh man, it's business is crazy. I'm gonna tell you, I have been working nonstop. I wake up in the morning. So many orders, I can't. I have a hard time getting them all out, and then you got folks wanting, advice. So we do that. Then you've got more orders that come in through the day, so you try to get those out, and you do the best you can. And for the most part, we get them all out the same day. But some of them end up going on the next day, obviously. And our postman is pissed. He's like, dude, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up to carry this many orders from your porch to wherever it's going. So we've got that issue. But other than that, things are great. We're looking at building some systems that are kind of a cookie cutter system. So you basically give us a call or an email and say, hey, we need a 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 gallon system. With that being the total gallons in the system, we want to grow this many plants, and this is our footprint. And we're trying to put that together. So it's unbelievably huge right now. Everybody's getting into it, and they are realizing that at a moment's notice, your food supply can be cut off with coronavirus and our lack of leadership to control coronavirus. They're realizing that, hey, anything can happen at a moment's notice. So they're trying to grow their own, and that's going for vegetables, weed, whatever. It's the same. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're growing. If you ain't growing your own, you may not get it. So that's the biggest push we've seen lately.
That's awesome. What are some of the common questions or problems you're seeing with some of the newer growers or just lately and around? Oh, I guess he walked away for a second. We had a question in chat, which was, Do you have a good source of natural farming phosphorus source? Well, phosphorus, you can always use rock phosphate, which you can get through Roger's website. 1 second here.
So I don't know. I mean, like Korean natural farming, like a plant that you can break down, because I think comfrey is pretty high in phosphorus, if I remember right. And
Yeah. Comfrey is pretty high. Hold on. Let me look it up here. There's a plant called malanga, and lamb's quarter, bitter melon, loofah, lettuce, cabbage, water cabbage.
What the hell's water cabbage? I mean, I've had all kinds of cabbages, but water cabbage, I don't know. But yeah, we do carry soft rock phosphate in our store, and it's great stuff. I mean, it's a slow release product, so you put it in, and the next day you test for phosphate, you're not going to see it, but a few weeks down the road you will, and it's something that adds to your plants as they need it instead of all at once. So you're not adding every week. You buy it, you add what you need, and you wait and let it do its let it do its job.
Awesome. Absolutely. Yeah, I think what the gentleman was more referring to was the for ferments, if he's looking to do ferments. So the stuff I had mentioned is more for leaves.
Like pumpkins are good. They would also be high.
The other one, I'm looking at my cheat sheet here. Horsetail is high in phosphorus.
I think some beans are too, if I remember right. Some of these you have to be careful though, if you're doing aquaponics, and try to find ones that don't have a necessarily high nitrogen content.
Yeah, beets have really high phosphorus. That would be something else.
That's the one I was trying to think of.
Yeah, beets. Yeah, if you're going to look for a ferment, beets are good, or yellow dock or curly dock. If you're, that's a really common weed in the United States, and those would also be good sources. Alrighty. So, Roger, what are some of the other common questions and problems that people are having and that you're getting and helping out people with lately?
The biggest issue people are having, because they're starting new systems, they get started, and they're putting fish in, they're losing fish, and they don't know why, and the education out there is so poor, it's unreal. So they don't realize that when you put fish into a system that's brand new, it takes time for the ammonia to build up, obviously, and then for bacteria to move in. So during that time, you have this ammonia build up, bacteria is coming in, colonizing, convert to nitrite, and then finally to nitrate as more bacteria moves in to do that job. But during those times, you're putting your fish at risk. So one of the things we're trying to do is move people away from that and into a fishless cycle, to where they use our fake fish or some other form of ammonia. You don't have to buy from us. You can buy anywhere you want to, but use something like that to control the amount of ammonia you're putting into your system and control how it happens so that you don't end up losing a whole bunch of fish. And for people that have children that are watching, if you lose a bunch of fish all at once, it can be disturbing to kids. So we try to help people not do that. We get them ahead of that curve and make sure the kids stay happy and don't see the dead fish, right? So once they get through that part of it, a lot of them start growing plants, and we tell them right off the bat, hey, on day one, when you're circulating water, put plants in, even if they don't do well, put them in there, get them going. It helps the ecosystem overall, and also get some red wigglers in there, some worms, and there's several of the worms that Steve can tell you about. There's Steve with his dog, his $6,100 dog. Uh, hey, that's great stuff right there, man. You can't beat that. I love my dogs. So anyway, get your system put together. Make sure, oh my God, make sure you check your neutrality of your media. Don't just go throwing river rock in there, because if it's got limestone in it and you hadn't tested it, you're gonna have to pull it all out and start over. Don't do that. Test it first, and it's a simple vinegar test. Email us. We'll send you a link where you can watch a video of how to do it. It's really it's a very short video, and it shows you what happens when you have the wrong media. Save you, depending on the size of your system, $50 or many thousands of dollars, which we've had several customers come to us and say, hey, what the heck's going on here? And turns out it was their media. So they pulled out all their media and had to replace it. And it was there was one in particular in Alabama that it was close to $200,000 for the media replacement for that system. So we don't want to see people lose money. We want to help you make money and help you feed your family. I lost my train of thought there, but anyway,
I think a lot of times on new systems, people like to chase their tails, and they, a lot of times they don't reach out to help until it's too late, and then by the time they order something online and it gets there and they put it in, 80% of their plant load is gone and probably irrecoverable. And they think that they're going to be able to pour something in the tank and see those plants magically come back to life. And sometimes they're just too far gone, and you probably need to pull them out and replant something else, and then evaluate from there, instead of just watching that plant continue to die and continue to add more stuff, when really you just you killed that plant 3 weeks ago, and no matter what you add to it right now, it's probably not coming back. So that's just one thing to be aware of too, is especially if you're not testing, if you're not doing nutrient testing, and you're just trying to figure it out. I feel like that's one of the ways that people chase their tails with new systems a lot, is because your plant load and your fish load, or they'll continue to feed their fish. They'll pull everything out of their system, and they haven't got no plants in there because they killed a lot of them, and they add a bunch of stuff to it to try to fix it, and then they keep feeding their fish also, and now they've got no plants to take up all of the extra stuff that they just added. So it just requires a little bit of planning, or just learn how to do nutrient testing and buy a very basic nutrient testing kit, and know how to dilute your system in a situation where it gets too high. Or you can do water changes, or various things to help bring those nutrient levels down, as opposed to just keep adding things and expecting one of them to magically bring your plants back to life. It's one of the things I've run into a lot. People trying to
sometimes we can magically bring them back to life. I know I've gone to a couple grows that had iron deficiencies, or a handful of other things that will respond very quick, or just a pH, radically off pH, or very low nitrogen, that will respond. But like you're saying, a lot of times you can't. Like I went to a grow one time, and they had their bong aphid population was probably weighed at least 50% as much as their plant mass, in terms of the physical biomass of the greenhouse. And there's absolutely nothing I could have told. They were down to like $1,500 to $2,000 after they hired me to come out there, and I told them, look, chop everything down, clean the place, and rent it out for grow season, and recover your money, and restart with the money you get from the grower that you rent from, and and or that you rent it to, and do that because you don't have any other options. So sometimes that is your option, it just depends on what you're doing. But hopefully you can catch stuff early on and not have to let it progress to the point where you are totally screwed. One thing that I have. Go ahead.
Oh no, I fully agree. You can bring plants back from pretty well close to dead, especially in aquaponics. Like I do think that you could do that, but when they're that for me, I feel like that's more like insect driven. Some I guess like pH lockout. I feel like is one of the ones that by the time a novice recognizes the plant has a problem, researches what might fix it, procrastinates for 2 or 3 days, finally orders it, takes 2 or 3 days to get there, that many times the expectations are just outside of what's going to happen, and they keep adding stuff as opposed to just maybe balancing the system to what it's uptaking now. Because if all your plants are in lockout, they're not, your plant load, your plant nutrient uptake is minimal. That's why we call it lockout. They can't take up nutrients. So you've got to unlock the plants before any of that stuff is going to change. And
you might want to intentionally force something to be high too. If I have high nitrite, I'm going to want to boost my chloride in order to neutralize that and make it less fish lethal. Or if I'm trying to boost the purple production or boost the bright reds or deep purples in any crop, be it lettuce or cannabis, I'm going to boost my molybdenum, to boost that anthocyanin production, because a mild molybdenum toxicity will boost that. So, and give you those desired sales appeal that you want for when a customer comes in and sees it on the shelf. It doesn't matter what it is, if it's produce or cannabis, it's the same thing. So this is, sometimes you want to induce a mild toxicity, or you're trying to rebalance something, or you need to raise everything up in proportion. And this is where things like the service that Roger and I offer for people's commercial systems, and we're gonna, we also offer it to people's home systems, although there is a minimum price. If you want to, we will do something smaller than 3,000 gallons, but again, it starts at about $125. But we test your nutrients and just balance it around your nutrient levels currently. So what is your calcium? What is your potassium? What is your molybdenum, manganese, boron, so on and so forth, and then actually just adjusting around those specific ones and giving you just what the plants need, and then optimizing that over time based on what your plant system is uptaking on a week-to-week and month-to-month basis. And by doing so, we're able to really maximize the plant production and make sure that you're getting exactly what you need, so that you have your dosage, can rip it open, pour it in, and away you go. You don't have to think about it anymore. And again, that's where water testing comes in. And if you're doing a commercial aquaponic cannabis system, you should be testing every 2 weeks to every month. If you really have it dialed in, you could cut back to a month, but realistically, you should be testing it every 2 weeks, or just investing in the equipment that allows you to test it yourself, because it gives you such a wealth of data on top of your normal daily tests. Anything you'd like to add to that, Roger?
Absolutely, yeah. The testing equipment involved in testing water to see what's actually in it is extraordinarily expensive. And that's where we come in and offer a test that's quite cheap, along with the instantaneous send out of minerals of what you need and the advice that you need to get your system going in the right direction, get it balanced to where no matter what you're growing, I don't care if it's lettuce or corn or squash or radishes or cannabis or hemp, we get you there. And that we got to know what you're growing up front, and we got a questionnaire for that. And we ask people to fill that out every few months, just to keep them up to date. But I mean, as long as you tell us exactly what you're growing and you send your water samples in on time, we will get you where you need to be. And we've got a huge amount of customers now that are, even in what's going on, in the U.S. right now with the pandemic, they're selling so much with walk-up sales because they have good produce. You can't get that stuff in stores now, and if you do, it's low value. So they're just making money hand over fist, selling stuff directly out of the greenhouse. I mean, with walk-up sales. So it's an important thing to look at. What do your plants need? What do your system need overall? What advice do you need for what you need to be doing, not just today or tomorrow, but a week down the road, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months. That's the service we offer is something to guide you on what you need to do to make those plants grow perfectly, to where you can sell them and make money, and also not just make money, but you'll feel good on the back end because you're offering a product that is healthy. So you're not tricking your customers. You're actually giving them something they can use. So that's what I got to add.
And it can be hard to find aquaponic and fish safe nutrients that have already been vetted and have dosing instructions and all the rest of it on there. Or if you're wanting to go the full-blown option with the subscription service, having it tear the package open, pour it in, forget that that's a thing, right? It just depends on what level of service. So, and you have all that. So if you're wanting to balance your own newts and you know what you're doing, you can buy the individual stuff from you, or you can let us drive the ship if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's I don't know how to top that one. You can buy the individual nutrients from us, or you can go with the subscription service where we get you to water tested, and we read that test when it comes back. And we also look at what you're growing, how you're growing it, the environment you're growing it in, and many more aspects. The more information you give us, the better. And then we advise you on what to do. So that would be our commercial part of it. But yeah, we help people all the way down to 10-gallon systems. So I mean, don't be shy. Email us, talk to us, let us know what you got going on. If you see a plant not growing well, let us know. We'll help you with it, even if you don't buy from us, because it's more important to us to help you than it is for us to make a dollar. We like dollars, but it's not the most important thing. But yeah, if you're trying to make money with what you're growing, trust me, the service we offer is the best there is out there on the market.
Look, it's
Yeah,
not the only one,
large margin.
I've never seen another one. Again, can't recall ever.
Oh yeah. Plus we have experience with a wide range of crops, everything from lettuce to cannabis to fruit trees to medicinal herbs and everything in between. So, one of the other things I wanted to bring up, and something I'm seeing quite frequently lately, is toxicity from people overdosing with kelp and ending up with boron toxicity that's affecting the availability of their calcium. And you see a lot of people out there saying, just dump sea salt in it, or just dump random kelp extract, or just dump random rock dust in it with no actual idea of what's in there. Well, a lot of rock dust is just mining byproduct, right? So it's a byproduct from heavy metal production or some kind of other production. And then you have other people that are getting poorly sourced kelp that is not necessarily of good quality. That is maybe ash or some of the other stuff that ends up again having too much, or people just ludicrously overdosing because they think they see a deficiency and they don't understand. They're told that maxi crop or sea salt has everything that a plant craves. It's got electrolytes.
The blue Gatorade.
Yeah.
So they go and they just dump as much as they can in there. So
okay, I'm sorry, but Gatorade is great stuff, man. I'm just gonna put that in there.
Rondo, that's got my plants great. Sorry about the pupper. Anyways, So that's something else that I wanted to warn people about, is not to overdose with the kelp extracts and stuff like that. I know, Roger, you need to get rolling soon. Did you want to tell everybody how to find you and how to find your website?
Yeah, absolutely. Truckaponics.com. That's TRUE Aquaponics. I'm not going to spell that. .com. It's pretty easy to find us. Search us. We're on Facebook. We're on the web. We're on Google. We're on Reddit. People talk about us all the time on all these different social media things. And yeah, I've got a meeting here in just a few minutes, and I apologize for having to step out so quick after just getting here. But I promised this yesterday, so I have to do it. And it's amazing. It's a huge grower in China, and they're wanting us to ship product to them from America because they don't like their product in China. How do you like that? So we're looking at a huge deal. I'm just very excited about it, helping somebody, do the right thing and do it responsibly. So that's just great. Anyway, truckaponics.com. Come check us out. We're always around. We have a chat service on the system, so when you get there, you can talk to us direct if we're awake. If not, we also have our phone number listed, so you can call us or text us or email us, and we will get back to you. I promise you. We answer everyone, no matter what. And with that, guys, I got to check out. I've got this next meeting coming up in 2 minutes.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be here. Great to see you guys. Steve, thank you for everything.
Thanks, Roger.
Yeah, hey, man, thank you. And y'all have a great evening.
You too.
Steve, love the dog.
Yeah, he's a cutie, even if he gets into trouble.
Your background's kind of messing up on you there.
Oh yeah, doesn't know what to do with my camo shirt.
It's camo shirt's the problem, yeah. So just saying.
A little too good of a camo shirt.
If you'd wear a true aquaponics shirt, it wouldn't do that, right?
Right.
Gotta get you one of those.
Yeah.
All right, Marty, Steve, y'all have a great one. Everybody that's watching and listening, y'all have a great one. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Best of luck with your meeting.
Thanks. Bye.
Join third.
All righty. Let's see if we have any other questions in chat here. No, it doesn't look like we have too many other questions. Do you have anything else you wanted to add, Marty?
There was something else I was thinking about talking about on the show this week, and I don't remember what it was.
No, Marty and I have been working slow and steady progress. We are going to do, just as a short programming note, we're going to cut back to just while we're filming the rest of the commercial class. We're going to cut back to just Thursdays for the show. And then we've been filming on Tuesdays, so that gives us some free time that fits Marty's schedule to get that commercial class out there. So we're going to be working on that and try and do some more. It gives us time also to do some cool filming with what's going on. So yeah, we'll be working on that on Tuesdays. So we'll just be doing one show a week, at least for the short term.
Yeah, and I do have like that process that I talked about for saving plants that are infected. I went through and filmed a series over about 4 weeks, 4.5 weeks of growing out and cloning a plant, and cleaning it up and turning it back into a new lawn. So I'll get that edited into the class also. We can have that in there. It's also on my Patreon, which is also at APNet. Check that out sooner rather than later. I think it is anyway. YouTube's been fucking with my shit. I don't know if you've been having problems with that again too, but like even my private Patreon videos that are just private YouTube links, it keeps pulling them, and it won't even let me upload them again. Fucking pissing me off. They should be up there though. I just fixed them like a few days ago.
I haven't had any issues. I've definitely had I've noticed some algorithm changes on certain episodes not getting the same views per day as they used to, but that mostly to do with some of the pruning stuff videos. Hold on, I could tell you if anyone's curious. Hold on. Let's see here. Last 28 days. Let's just see here. So we got how and when to top your seedlings, decarbing, Jamaica stuff. Our 200th episode was really popular lately. Decarbing, watercress, some of the organic innovations tours. Our 101, our episode 201 and 203 round out our top 10. So yeah, we've been slowly increasing our views. We're up to, we had just recently broke our 8,000 subscribers. I believe that was last episode, and we're already at 8,111. So we've been really, holy crap, guys, that was really awesome. So,
Yeah, I think I was not that long ago.
If you enjoy the show, be sure to share it with somebody. I know I always like to listen to the Growcast, and he always starts his show off with, share it with a friend. So we have real good friends with Jordan over there. He was kind enough to send us some wonderful coffee. So thank you, Jordan, for the awesome coffee if you're listening. But if you aren't familiar, check out the the Growcast, and then also check out the Grow from the Heart podcast. And Embracing Organics podcast. There's a whole bunch of other really awesome ones. Always has
the Future Cannabis Project too.
Future Cannabis Project has been doing a lot of killer content lately. We did an episode over there not too long ago.
Well. To get all those aquaponic people together. Usually this is the only place we get. We'll get 3 or 4 of them together, but it was cool to get. What do we have? 5?
So working on, we're going to be doing another panel, but we're going to do a different panel. I'm not going to tell you who's going to be on it, but it's going to be people that know about aquaponics, and it's going to be some cool people. So it's going to be dope. And some people that maybe you didn't know were into aquaponics, but you might know from the cannabis industry. So
yeah, if you guys haven't checked that out, it's a whole panel of aquaponics cannabis growers. And we basically took over their podcast. Steve was the guest host, basically. And we just talked about aquaponic cannabis production for a couple hours, right?
Yeah, we had about 2 or 3 hours. We talked about aquaponic cannabis, commercial aquaponic cannabis production with myself, Tanner Stewart of Stewart Farms, chief cultivator of Habitat Life, Bain of Vertica, myself of Organic Innovations and Potent Ponics, and Marty of AP Meds. And we did a kind of just a jam session on ups, downs, all the different things, different methodologies, different filtration, just really cool breakdown from a bunch of different people that are all doing commercial production currently, right? So it's kind of a different, not just us talking around, hey, our little grows, but all people that are doing this, half of them in Canada, right? So totally different perspective. Someone else, go ahead.
Oh, I just said it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely check that episode out over on Future Cannabis Project. Someone asked, do you use the Hanna 775 alkalinity meters in my tanks? I don't use the Hanna meters for alkalinity. I find that for my stuff, the Salford or the Aquarium Pharmaceuticals is perfectly fine for the level of testing I'm doing. And then we get alkalinity every time we send our water samples out. So that gives me a pretty good idea what's going on. But granted, you will get some variance on that, same as you will with your pH, the more time from your sample taking. But if you were colorblind and having issues with reading the color-based reagent tests, absolutely, I'd highly recommend Hanna. Or if you are a colorblind person who has color blindness and has issues with any water testing, I cannot recommend enough the Hanna testers, because it will allow you to test things that were previously outside of the range of your ability to test. So and will allow you to test, they also have quite a wide range. We actually have a multimeter that does a whole wide range of different Hannas. So they make the single individual color chart or color, whatever they are. And then they make a master one that does like 10 or 12, and you can get different ones. But we have one of the master ones here, and we use that to double check anything. If I want to check something that we have reagents for before we send out a water sample or in between water samples, can absolutely be a great option for internal testing. If anyone is ever really interested in testing, you can always go over to the Aquaponic Cannabis Facebook growers group. That's facebook.com/groups/APCanna, CANNA. If you have an issue connecting, if you just search Aquaponic Cannabis Growers, you will not find it because Facebook is stupid. So you have to actually type in the URL if you want to find it. But in the file section, we have a wonderful Excel sheet that I have put together that has a wide range of nutrients. It's over 250 different nutrient tests on there, along with the costs per test, what the reagent replacement costs are, a link to the manufacturer, a link to, at the time when I made that, the cheapest one I could find if you wanted to purchase it over the counter, cost per box, what the nutrient range is that it can test for, what the error rate is. It's a really useful chart and spreadsheet if you are looking to do your own internal testing and you're not doing it based on really expensive lab equipment. It is a great resource if you're looking for that.
Very cool.
Yeah. Alrighty. Any other things you wanted to go over? If not, I think we'll wrap the show up. We've been gone for about an hour, and well, it's a little bit shorter than usual. It was 107 out, so I'm a bit burned out and a bit tired, or more tired than usual. We will get back to having some guests. I have some cool stuff in the queue. We've talked to some cool people about coming on the show, but haven't been able to overlap schedules. And yeah, again, just apologize for that part, but we will get back to a normal schedule here soon. Have some really, really cool stuff coming down the pipeline with some projects that I've been working on for a while that are finally coming to fruition, that have been kind of in the background. And I'm trying to think what else is in the pipeline right now. Just that, and trying to get the class ready for you guys. I think you guys are going to be really happy with the class. We got a lot of really cool video footage of insects and pathogens and just all kinds of cool stuff that we were going to have in this master class that we're working on for you guys, along with examples and demonstrations of a wide range of different things. So I think you guys are going to really like it, those that go ahead and purchase it. And it'll be a great companion for the book that's coming out later this year. I've been steadily chipping away at that, and it's turning into a thicker book than I intended to, but I think you guys are going to it's going to be that master reference book that you kind of, have to have on your shelf to know when shit hits the fan what to do. So I think everyone's going to be really happy with it.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a lot like, when you start adding content to the class, you're like, oh, well, if we talk about this, then we got to talk about that. Oh, well, we're going to talk about this. It snowballs so quickly to where you're like, all right, we can do this in a couple of days. And now we've got content that's, in order to do it in a couple of days, we have to maximize every amount of time and space in that 2 days to be able to make it work, because it's just grown so much from when we first started teaching it. So much stuff to add. From doing the podcast for so long and testing new stuff and different methods, and it just gets out of control. And so it's going to be nice to move to that recorded format where we can cut stuff together and really have it be a reference guide. But I can see the book just getting out of control.
Yeah, no, the book is kind of like, I almost have the feature creep problem with video game creation, right? Where you gotta I can't keep putting new things into the game right now. I need to just finish the game and get it out. So I've kind of more or less kind of set the walls and the up on where the content's going to be, and kind of I'm just fleshing it out now. A couple of things I'm learning on pest management stuff, or changing my mind on some stuff maybe after actually using a couple of them in application. But other than that, we had a couple of additional questions in chat. What are your favorite plecos? So for small scale systems and any ancestral species, your bushy nose or bristle nose plecos, they top out at about 10 inches. So those for small species, small size aquariums, and then probably Trinidad, sailfin, or gibbosepps plecos for the large scale tanks. Gibbosepps in particular get these enormous, beautiful, large fins, red, flame red or orange fins that are really cool and just get massive. They'll get 3-4 feet long and just, the size of a small tree branch. What are some dual root zone setups you have tried that unexpectedly failed, and why did they fail? So dual root zone setups, I haven't had any that failed. Well, I'm trying to think.
You can get them too low in the bed.
I've had them, yeah, too low in the bed, or I've had them where we made the hole in the pot too big for the DWC setup. Or if you're going to do DWC setups for dual root zone pots, instead of cutting like in the video we did a straight circle. I'm probably going to redo that video and redo it as like a plus sign in the bottom with 4 little cutouts. I found that that's kind of working much better, or even just drilling 4 half-inch holes, or 5 half-inch holes or 6 half-inch holes in the bottom is actually working better, because when the plants get really large, we're having issues with, when I have a stem on it the size of a Coke can, the physical weight of all that plant on top of that stem pushing down on the center of that hole, there's just nothing there to hold it, right? Even with all the roots pushing out, it's still just a lot of weight slowly pushing in the middle of that pot. So that would probably be the only other thing that really comes to mind that I've kind of altered over maybe what I put out publicly. Other than that, too much cocoa can fuck up your cation exchange and cause you all kinds of nightmares trying to balance your nutrients.
I would say not enough too much.
Yeah, not enough aeration in the soil mix would be another one.
Mostly just different ways that the soil stays too wet, goes anaerobic.
Yeah, too wet or too dry. I haven't really had a chance to show off the manifold design for the dual root zone stuff. At some point, we'll when I have time, we'll build one here. But right now, I'm just trying to get the 5 acres in the back and the 4 acres in the front done, and then we'll worry about replumbing the greenhouse. So,
yeah, that's great.
We will be doing top feeding for automated top feeding for the full greenhouse once everything else is done being plumbed. But right now we have 5 acres of irrigation to finish. So
5 acres is just a lot.
Plenty of plumbing left to do. No, it's mostly done. We just got to tie in the IBC totes into the final 4,500 gallon mix tank. Is mainly the last thing that needs to get done.
Still a lot. No matter how you're doing it, no matter what you're growing, if you're growing 5 acres of anything.
Oh yeah, and then we have 14,000 clones to plant, which is the next fun one.
Well, which means that right now you have 14,000 clones to take care of, which is
we have
a whole other problem.
We have about 9 or 10,000 clones to take care of, and the rest are still need to get cut.
Pending.
But
call those pending.
Yeah, well, you know what you do is you put out your stuff that's a little more sativa leaning in the beginning, and you plant that out first, and then you lean more towards your purple stuff, so you finish. If it takes an extra week or two, you're okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes like when you're first starting, or when you're taking over for something that's already kicked off, it can be just as difficult to get consistency back when cloning. I would say like insects is probably the biggest one, but probably right below that is just having enough consistency to be able to keep your clones. Like it's one thing to just cut the clones and get them rooted and get them in solo cups, but when you've got 9,000 solo cups, they always all need water and are going to need transplanted within a certain amount of time, and you got to have soil to do that with, and like there's a whole anything that you do 9,000 times requires a certain amount of coordination, especially if you want to end up with consistency at the end.
Oh yeah, so we're actually using a rain flow drip layer, so it'll mound the dirt and then lay 2 drip lines in it for us, and then we'll put the plants in right in between the 2 drip lines on each one. So
yeah, it's pretty
really
common.
nice.
I've seen a lot of those even for hemp out here. They like the roll tape drip line.
Yeah, so we're using the roll tape drip line, but we're not using the plastic mesh that goes over the top of it. Black mesh here would make our roots about 180 degrees. So we're going to go ahead and use a cover crop from Soil King, or Build a Soil. Build a Soil has their their 12 soil mix, so we ordered a bunch of that. Sorry about the cat in the background. He's being a bitch.
Oh, I thought that was my cat. I was like,
no, that's mine. So sorry about that. Anyways, I need to find a quieter place to record here is what I need to do. Lock myself in the breeding room or something. Anyways, yeah, I think we'll start wrapping the show up. But why don't you tell everybody how to find you, Marty?
yeah, so you can find me most of the time hanging out on Facebook, Aquaponic Cannabis Growers Group, like Steve was talking about. Also, Probiotic Farmers Alliance, shout out to them. Alan over there and his Grow Kashi, ton of stuff over there. KNF group that Chris Trump is a part of. I think it's just called KNF, Korean Natural Farming. That's another great resource there. But you can find me on YouTube at AP Meds, on Instagram. I'm generally posting pictures when I'm not too busy. So you can find me there. You can find me on Patreon at AP Meds. Just hit me up on YouTube. Got the wrap-up video from the grow will be posted soon. I've got, like I said, probably 80% of it. Well, probably like 70% of it already down and bucked up and in bags. And we'll get the rest down and get some numbers weighed up and do our wrap-up video from this last harvest. But all the other videos, all the ones that YouTube will let me upload are up there. So go check those out. And yeah, thanks, Steve.
Yeah, and you can check out Roger at True Aquaponics. Him and I work on the subscription service. I do the dosing into that. So if you end up going through that, I am part of that. So check him out over at trueaquaponics.com, or if you just need nutrients for your system. And then you can find me at Potent Ponics, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, all the different places. You can also check out Organic Innovations if you're a licensed Oklahoma retail center, dispensary, whatever they call them in the state. All the different states have their different names. You can check us out. We have a whole wide range of different concentrates coming out soon that we'll have available. I believe next week we get the testing back, and then we can release those to our vendors. So that'll be really awesome. And yeah, have a safe and happy 4th of July. Try not to blow any of your fingers off. I know my cousin tried it when I was a kid.
Don't start any fucking fires.
Yeah, for fuck's sake, don't start any goddamn forest fires.
I live in the forest, okay?
Yeah, if you're gonna blow shit up in the forest, go down to the riverbed where there's no trees and you can't blow anything up, or find a nice little island in the middle of the river and do it there where you can't set anything on fire.
Especially if you have illegal fireworks that you drove like 2 states over to buy from a Native American tribe.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I sound pissed off, and that's because I am. That these things actually happen, especially here in Southern Oregon. People like to drive to Washington, buy a bunch of fireworks, and set them off in the hottest part of the year, in the middle of fire season, without like even thinking about where you're doing it at. So every year on the 4th of July, we have multiple grass fires from idiots. So don't do it. Don't blow your hand off. Don't start any forest fires. Pretty low bar. Smoke some weed. Drink if you want to. Have some fun. Barbecue some food. Just don't burn anything down, especially my house.
Yeah. Don't crash any vehicles all wasted, and don't burn anything down. And we'll see you guys again next week.
All right. See you later.
Take it easy.